Nonetheless, here we are. We're syncing up and getting ready to go. Once the lights go out, we'll be officially underway here at Silverstone National. So we're just waiting on them now, and it's lights out and away we go. We're racing here up towards Copse Corner for the first time. Diabetic Lamb appears to have got a good start, although Jay also has got a flyer. Did he jump the start though? Maybe he did jump the start. There's a bit of door banging in the background there, but it's Jay leading ahead of Cobb. Diabetic Lamb in third place. Mike Gaming losing a place there, but he's got back ahead of John Boy as these two are side by side down towards Magus and Beckett's for the first time. It's right on board with John Boy. As you can see, Mike on his inside, just behind there. You've got the Muttnuts who spun round. The Muttnuts lost it. He goes into the side of another driver there. The Muttnuts here having a really sketchy start to this race. Jay leading ahead of Cobb, followed by Mike. But the Muttnuts there down to 14th. Matt Darves and Smoky Devil seem to have been in the wars as well. Matt Darves down to the back has had a spin on the exit of Chapel Curve. It's Jay leading ahead of Cobb, followed by Mike Gaming though. As we've got Granite Steed looking to the inside of Diabetic Lamb. Diabetic Lamb attacking here and trying to squeeze through ahead of Cobb. Cobb a bit wide there coming through Brooklands. As we see Diabetic Lamb and Cobb side by side coming through Luffield as Diabetic Lamb really wide there onto the grass, gets well out off the offline there and onto the gravel there on the exit of Luffield. He's losing place after place. He's dropped behind Granite Steed, Charlie Goff, Park Pooper and Beam Basher, and Diabetic Lamb down to 9th place. It's been a horror show of a start to this race for him. Jay leading ahead of Mike Gaming, followed by Cobb. You've got Granite Steed ahead of Charlie Goff, followed by Park Pooper, who's got Park Pooper looking to the inside of Beam Basher into Cobb's corner. Couldn't make it stick there, and they both did well to hold on to that as they had a bit of contact there coming to the corner. Diabetic Lamb there is running a little bit behind these guys with that M. Afford right behind him. You've got Connor about second behind M. Afford at the moment, followed by DJ Phil. Then the Muttnuts behind them. A bit of a gap back to Smoky Devil. Then you got Matt Darves a little way off of him. John Boy has dropped down to P15. What has happened to John Boy on the first lap? He's had nothing short of a disaster. I think he must have had a drive-through penalty for maybe a jump start potentially. Aussie Albie I think has had the same thing. So both of these two have had to come into the pits at the end of the first lap to serve drive-through penalties. I wonder if anybody else has. I think Jay might have a drive-through because he seemed to really get off the line like a rocket ship. So he might have to serve a drive-through at some point. Well, again, we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and watch and find out. But right now, Jay and Mike Gaming separated by 0.2 of a second as Jay's trying to force the pace out the front. Maybe trying to build up a bit of a gap so that he can do that drive-through without it causing too many nightmares for him. But into Copse Corner here for the third time in this race. Beam Basher giving a bit of a tap in their ear to Park Pooper. Those two have been battling since the start of this race, but the rest of them all quite clean so far. Obviously John Boy and Aussie with those drive-throughs at the start down in P15 and 16. Matt Darves hasn't had the debut that he'd have wanted, but nonetheless he's quite new to the motive leagues, so he will get his teeth cut in as time goes on. But Mike Gaming, Jay and Cobb currently separated by a second here. You've got Granite Steed just behind these guys at the moment with Charlie Goff not too far away from them. Then a bit of a gap back to Park Pooper and Beam Basher, who's looked to be pretty close here coming up towards Brooklyn. Beam Basher is looking to try and send one here up the inside of Park Pooper. Park Pooper sees him coming and Beam Basher attacks the cone a little bit there. Park Pooper trying to keep it around the outside there. They have the inside for Luffield. Can he keep it there? Beam Basher a bit sideways and Park Pooper gets it back down the inside for Luffield. But Diabetic Lamb's now trying to get involved in this one as well. Beam Basher might go for the cutback. Has he got the run coming through Woodcut? Here he goes as we can see Park Pooper just clinging on, but Beam Basher looking to the inside, coming down the start finish straight here. Great racing from these guys, and Park Pooper's got that held into Copse Corner for the time being. Mike still leads ahead of Jay, followed by Cobb, and Granite Steed's keeping to the back of these guys like glue at the minute. But Park Pooper and Beam Basher still battling, and Diabetic Lamb is right on the back of these guys. Coming down towards Magus and Beckett for the fourth time in this race, and Diabetic Lamb a bit of a slide there as he hit the brakes, and Beam Basher really tags Park Pooper quite heftily there in the back as they came through Beckett's. But you saw also that Charlie Goff in the distance there in P5 got a little bit out of shape on the exit Chapel and did well to hold on to that. Diabetic Lamb's now looking to the inside of Beam Basher though, coming in towards Brooklands, and this is the part of the track where Beam Basher went for the late move on Park Pooper on the previous lap. Diabetic Lamb's done the same thing to Beam Basher, but Beam Basher trying to get the cut back here into Luffield, holding it around the outside. I think Diabetic Lamb should have that covered on the inside line and managed to squeeze through ahead of Beam Basher. So Beam Basher losing out to Diabetic Lamb. Now Diabetic Lamb's looking all over the back of Park Pooper as well, coming through Woodcut here for the fourth time in this race. Can he get the run here down the start finish straight as Diabetic Lamb's looking to the inside? Park Pooper's got it covered at the moment as Granite Steed still running in fourth place ahead of just behind the three leaders Mike, Jay and Cobb at the moment. But at this point, Park Pooper is looking to try and keep this charging cavalry of Diabetic Lamb and Beam Basher behind him. Diabetic Lamb's got ahead of him coming up towards Magus and Beckett's. Can he complete the move here as he's looking around the outside of Beckett's in towards Chapel? Diabetic Lamb is able to complete that move. They're up into 6th place. Park Pooper managing to keep ahead of Beambasher. What's happened to Beambasher? Beambasher's made a mistake. He's now dropped behind Afford, the Mutts Nuts and Connor. So Beambasher's had a bit of a moment there and it's down to P11. So a bit of a skirmish there as he was trying to get ahead of Park Pooper. Diabetic Lamb has now cleared Park Pooper by a couple of seconds. Park Pooper got a bit out of shape there. Afford and the Mutts Nuts right behind them as they come into Brooklands. Big block up there from Afford and the Mutts Nuts has lost it. He's onto the grass there, and that's going to allow Connor and possibly Beambasher up the inside. No, Beambasher can't make it happen there, but the Mutts Nuts with a massive slide there and has lost a couple of places as a result. Mike and Jay still leading this race at the moment as Mike obviously got ahead of Jay a couple of laps ago. The gap 3/10 between those two. Cobb and Granada Steve still in hot pursuit at the moment. You've got Charlie Goff there ahead of Diabetic Lamb, followed by Park Pooper there, who's still got Afford all over the back of him right now in 7th and 8th places. Connor, the Mutts Nuts, there's Beambasher on the back of them. Smoky Devil still going in P12, followed by Matt Darves, DJ Phil running in P14, John and Ozzy after those early drive-throughs, well off of the pace, well off of the lead at the moment. John Boy though is quite close to the pace of the leaders at this point. He's lapping in the low 103s, which is similar to what you see the top 4 doing at this point. But right now we can see Jay looking to the outside of Mike coming into Brooklyn. This is for the lead of the race here. Cobb and Granastia battling right behind them. Mike holds it coming into Brooklyn. He goes a bit wide though. Mike making vulnerable on the exit of Luffield. Can Jay get a good run out of Luffield up towards Woodcote and the start finish straight? Let's keep an eye on this as it looks as though Mike gets a decent enough exit out of Luffield and it's going to hold on to P1 for the time being. Cobb and Granastia still battling, still keeping tabs with these two out the front at the moment. A bit of a gap back to Charlie. He's continuing to fall off for these guys. Diabetic Lamb though is closing on the back of Charlie and might have his sights set further up the field, but he's got a long way to go to get to the top 4. But Diabetic Lamb could be eyeing up a P5 here pretty surely in this race. Bit of a gap back to Park Pooper, who's continuing to fall off at the back of him right now. Afford and Connor still in hot pursuit of Park Pooper Rex. You've got the Mutts Nuts ahead of Beambasher. Smokey there in 12. Matt Dove still going in P13, followed by DJ Phil, who's got John Boy closing up onto the back of him at the moment, and John Boy will be looking to try and get himself into P14 pretty soon, one would imagine. Mike still leading ahead of Jay coming down the Wellington straight down towards Brooklands here once again as you've got Cobb trying to defend from Granite Steer as well. Jay looking to the inside of Mike into Brooklands. Massive slide there from Mike. Huge lock up as Jay's looking to try and pile the pressure on, maybe trying to put him under pressure with him just getting it a little bit wrong there coming through that part of the track, but at the moment Mike's got it covered here on the exit of Luffield. But these 4 guys giving it everything right now. This is a fascinating battle for the lead of this race as we're only 7 laps into this race and still plenty of laps in this sprint race still to go. But it's Mike, Jay, Cobb and Grandad Steve, and I still don't know whether Jay got a drive through for that start. I don't know if he jumped it or not. It looked like he got an absolutely cracking start, but nonetheless we'll have to see. Diabetic Lamb, Charlie still running in P5 and 6, having a good little battle. You got Park Pooper, Emma for Connor, currently in a bit of a tussle here as well. The Beambasher a couple of seconds behind. Oh, Beambasher's hit the pit wall coming on the exit of Cobb's corner, and he's gone wide onto the runoff area. Beambasher's going to have some damage on the right front of the car. He's down to 13th place there, and that's going to really chip away at him. He was obviously in the battle at the start, up near to the front, but he's had a couple of big errors here in this sprint race, and Beambasher now absolutely nowhere. Has got John Boy closing up onto the back of him as well. So Beambasher's race has gone from quite promising at the start to really, really difficult as he gets sideways coming out of Chapel, and John Boy's going to look to try and pick him off here as they come down the Wellington straight. That's P13 there for John Boy as he swoops through up into that place, but it's Mike, Jay, Cobb still separated by half a second. Grandad Steve still clinging to the back of him at the moment, and he got 0.8 of a second, currently separating the top 4 as it stands. Diabetic Lamb and Charlie still battling over 5th and 6th places at the moment, half a second separating those two in P5 and 6, but the battle for the lead is where it's at the moment. Mike, Jay, Cobb and Grandad Steve as Jay's looking all over the back of Mike, coming down towards Magus and Beckett's once again, still a little bit too far back. These guys are line astern at the moment as they're battling, as here they come onto the power once again and down the Wellington straight. But this has been absolutely superb stuff from these guys, brilliant racing from these boys tonight, and they're keeping it clean, they're keeping it tidy, no major incidents at the moment. I don't want to curse it, I don't want to ruin what's been a great night of action so far, as we can see Cobb looking to the inside of Jay into Brooklands, but once again just a little bit too far away at the moment. Then it's Mike, Jay, Cobb and Grandad Steve still going at it, and they're 5 seconds clear of Diabetic Lamb at the moment, who's got Charlie just about within a second of him at this point. Park Pooper Rex, M. Afford, Connor there looking to the inside into Brooklands on M. Afford, but M. Afford holds it on the outside, and the Nuts is going to sneak up the inside there as Connor just got a little bit of a poor run coming out of Brooklands, had to back out of it, had to get off the throttle a bit as he was trying to make the move on M. Afford, couldn't pull it off. The Nuts sneaking through there up into 9th place, and the Nuts is not done. He's now looking all over M. Afford here as well as they're coming out of Woodcote onto the start finish straight once again, and the Nuts will have the inside for he moves across on M. Afford there, and they're both into the wall coming into Cobb's corner. Big damage on M. Afford's car. What about the Nuts? They've both got big damage. That's going to be costing them heaps of time in this race, and M. Afford's down to P12. Matt Darves will pick them off in a moment. I'm sure that Matt Darves will have the pace over the Nuts at this point, and that's not gone to plan at all there for the Nuts and M. Afford as Mike, Jay, Cobb and Grandersty still battling over the lead here. A second separating the top 4 as it stands in this race. Mike goes really wide. Jay looking to the outside in towards Luffield. Can he get the cut back? He's not going to be able to get the cut back. Mike holds it just about, but Jay is going to get the run. He's managed to get a good exit there coming out of Luffield. Now looking to the inside, Mike leaves him a car's width there coming through Woodcote. Jay is through up into the lead, but can Cobb get through as well? Mike looked like he had quite a downside in momentum as they were coming onto the start finish straight. Cobb there looking to the inside as gets a bit of a tap there from Grandad Steve as they're all queuing up behind each other. Half a second separating these boys at the moment, side by side between Cobb and Mike. Grandad Steve backs out at that one as you can see there. These guys are going to be going tussling coming in through Magnuson Beckett's. Jay has the lead just about, but Cobb and Mike having a great little fight here right now. Cobb squeezing through. Mike will have the momentum coming down the Wellington straight, and I think should have that place back. He'll also have the slipstream off of Jay as well, but here we come down the Wellington straight once again. Cobb is going to get out dragged by Mike, down to the fact that Mike has got the slipstream off of Jay. Now Mike is going to look on the outside of Jay as well. Into Brooklands they come. Jay covers the inside line. Cobb looking back on Mike again. Mike keeps it around the outside. Cobb might get the run here through Luffield because Mike was all over the place on the exit of Brooklands. Once again, Mike just gets it stopped in time, and it's currently Jay leading ahead of Mike, followed by Cobb and Grandad Steve, as these guys are continuing to put on a fantastic show out the front. Diabetic Lamb has cleared Charlie Goff and it's now got about a second of a gap, and he's closing a little bit on these 4 leaders whilst they battle as well. That could invite Diabetic Lamb into this fight. If he keeps up the pace he's doing right now, he might be very much in that battle for the win. But it's Jay, Mike, Cobb and Grandad Steve still going at it. And Grandad Steve hasn't really engaged with these guys at all. He's just been sat there waiting patiently. He hasn't really got aggressive. He hasn't sort of got his elbows out. He's just been sat there on the tails of these guys. He just wants to make sure he's there, ready to pounce at the end of the race. He's not going to be going for any knockout blows at the moment. He's just keeping himself there. He's preserving himself for the push at the end of the race as Mike is now looking to the outside of Jay into Brooklands. He's got a great run. Steve's also looking to the inside of Cobb, but Jay just about holds it there. Mike can't get it around the outside of him. Now Mike's going to have to watch out because he's got Cobb on his inside and Grandad Steve on his outside. Grandad Steve's trying to go around the outside of Cobb. I don't think he's going to get that done around the outside of Cobb through Luffield though, Steve. He might have to tuck back in for Woodcote, but Jay, Mike, Cobb and Grandad Steve still running in that order at this point as they're coming to the end of lap 12. You got 7 laps left in this sprint race, and we've had enough racing here tonight to basically warrant a full season of action. It's been superb from these guys tonight, and it's by no means over. We've got 7 minutes after this sprint race, and then we've got the feature race after it. Jay still leads ahead of Mike, followed by Cobb and Grandad Steve. Diabetic Lamb there running in 5th place, 5 seconds off for the lead at this point. Charlie Goff there in P6. Smokey, Park Pooper and Connor still battling over 7th, 8th and 9th. You've got Matt Darves there running in P10, followed by the Nuts who's running 11th place. John Boy there in 12th ahead of M. Afford. B Masher there in P14 has not been the race at all for him so far. DJ Phil still going in P15, and Aussie Arby rounding up the pack at the moment as Cobb has managed to get ahead of Mike, and Mike spun out coming through Brooklands. Oh, Mike Gaming, what happened there? Did he have a collision with one of the other guys? I didn't see. I caught the tail end of that as Grandad Steve squeezes up into 2nd place. I think Cobb and Mike must have come together. So Mike spins out and loses out to Diabetic Lamb. He's now down in P5 in between Diabetic Lamb and Charlie Goff. So Mike has lost 3 places there with that one, but Cobb is also now has dropped off at the back of Jay and Grandad Steve a little bit, and it's now a 2-horse race at the front between Jay and Grandad Steve. Are these guys going to work together and try and pull the gap out to Cobb, or are they going to battle and allow Cobb back into this? That's the question. Diabetic Lamb has been reeling in the leaders as well over the last few laps, but Mike's now on the back of him. Are these guys going to work together and try and catch up to these least 3 out the front, or maybe 2, because Cobb seems to have just dropped off of these front 2 by about a second or so over the last couple of laps of this race. Obviously with that incident there with Mike on the last lap, it's just dropped him a bit of time. But Jay and Granasty still running 1 and 2, 4 tenths apart into Brooklands here for the 14th time in this sprint race. Cobb there running in 3rd place, ahead of Diabetic Lamb, followed by Mike Gaming, who's looking to the inside into Brooklands, too far away. Charlie off there might fancy an opportunity to bring himself back into this battle a little bit. Mike once again doing the same thing. He's really struggling through Brooklands tonight. He seems like he just can't get the car set up for Luffield properly. He goes ever so wide coming through that part of the track and just can't get himself on that correct line that he needs to be on to carry the speed through Luffield. He's really struggling in the race so far. Was absolutely scorchingly quick in qualifying, but certainly not in the race. He's been really struggling through Brooklands throughout the entire race. Jay and Granasty stood out the front, 4 tenths of a second apart at the moment. Cobb there's just over a second behind these guys. You've got Diabetic Lamb there running in 4th ahead of Mike Gaming. Charlie Goff there in P6, a bit of quite a big gap back to the rest of them. You've got Smokey Devil, Park Pooper Rex still going in 7th and 8th places, followed by Connor, who's running in 9th place. He's a couple of seconds clear of Matt Darves at the moment. John Boy there in 11th ahead of the Mutt Nuts, followed by M. Afford. You've got Bean Basher and once again doing the same thing through Cops Corner. Every time through Cops Corner, he well, not every time, but both times we've flicked to him, he's been binning it through Cops Corner, hits the inside of the pit wall, and wide he goes. Aussie Albion, DJ Phil still going in P15 and 16 at the moment. Jay and Granasty still separated by 4 tenths. Cobb's reeled them in ever so slightly over the last lap or so. Do you know what? I don't think Jay does have a drive through. I think if he did, he'd have done it by now, I would have thought. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I don't want to misreport, but I imagine he'd probably got it done and out of the way if there was one to be done now. I think there's probably not much point in waiting this long to do it. But Jay Granasty still separated by not much, as we can see in the background there. Diabetic Lamb ever so wide coming out of Cops. That would have cost him a tenth or two, but he's still gaining at the moment on the leaders. He was 3 tenths slower in that first sector due to running wide out of Cops, but the gap down to 2.5 seconds to Jay. Jay still holding on ahead of Granasty at the moment, but it's now 2 tenths of a second between these two. Maybe, just maybe, Cobb and Diabetic Lamb could be in the fight. Mike Gabing could even still have a chance of winning this race, despite the collision with Cobb a few laps to go. Jay still leads Granasty at the moment, but this could very quickly become a 5-man battle for this lead potentially. Depends on how many laps we're going to have left in this race. I think, do you know what? I think we were going to only have 3 more laps, because it's they're crossing the line with 3 minutes to go. A lap is just over 1 minute, so this is going to be the third to last lap of this race. It's going to be a 19-lap sprint race, so Diabetic Lamb and Mike have really got to get their foots down and absolutely send it around these next couple of laps to be in with a shout of taking this win. Jay still leads Granasty by 2 tenths of a second out of Cops Corner here for the 17th time in this race. Cobb a little bit wide onto the curb. You've got Diabetic Lamb there running in 4th place, right behind him still. Mike Gaming is definitely there to pounce if anything goes on in front of him right here. Jay though holding on to this lead, which he's had pretty much since the start. He's been tussling it out with Granasty and Cobb since the get-go. Mike Gaming was obviously in there as well, but had that mistake, but he is gaining on these guys in the last part of this race, as Granasty is now pulling out to the outside, looking to try and send it here around Brooklands, but Jay's going to be alert and alive to that one. Covers the inside line, gets it nicely turned in on the right line, and is blocking off any potential routes that Granasty might be trying to take around him at this point. Jay a little bit deep into Luffield, but he's going to get it turned around nicely here. And it's still Jay from Granasty. Diabetic Lamb is now within a second of these guys. So whilst they're battling, whilst they're focusing on each other, they're not watching out behind them. Diabetic Lamb has got ahead of Cobb up into 3rd place. Mike Gaming is within 2 seconds of the lead, as we've got 2 laps left to go here at Silverstone. Granasty looking to the outside here of Jay. Jay gets it stopped, gets it turned perfectly on the curb there. Nowhere for Granasty to poke his nose. Looking down towards Magus and Beckett's. Jay just pulling out a little bit, coming down towards the corner here. Diabetic Lamb is now right on them as well, and might be making it side by side here with Granasty. Granasty's going to have the inside for Beckett's. Can Diabetic Lamb get it all the way around the outside? He might be able to, you know. He'll have the momentum coming out onto the Wellington straight. Bit of a drawback between Diabetic Lamb and Granasty, but Diabetic Lamb has got around Granasty up into 2nd place. What's Jay going to do? Who's he going to get the slipstream to? He's going to give it to Diabetic Lamb and defend the inside line. He has to go defensive here. Jay knows that he needs to keep onto this. He needs to just park his car in the right places, but Diabetic Lamb's trying around the outside of Brooklands. Has nowhere to go. Tucks in behind. Jay did superbly there to cover off that outside line that Diabetic Lamb was trying to take. If Diabetic Lamb had got the outside around Brooklands, he would have had the inside for Luffield. So Jay there, really widely defensive driving there from him, parking it on the inside and now covering the inside through Woodcote onto the start-finish straight. Diabetic Lamb looking to the outside, Mike Gaming right in there as well now. Granadsteer and Cobb have now been swamped by these guys who are advancing, and Diabetic Lamb around the outside of Jay. Can he keep it there? He's going to ride over the curb a little bit on the exit of Cobb's corner. Diabetic Lamb hits the front on the final lap of this race. Can Jay come back at him though? Down towards Magus and Beckett once again. Mike there in the slipstream behind these guys. Granadsteer and Cobb still waiting in the wings. But has Diabetic Lamb just snatched the win from the jaws of Jay and Granadsteer and Cobb, and Jay's lost out to Stee and Cobb as Jay all over the place there in the background, down to 4th place. Diabetic Lamb has got almost a second of a gap here over Granadsteer at this point. Stee and Cobb running in 2nd and 3rd places. Jay and Mike with a little bit of a collision coming out of Chapel Curve and now running in 4th and 5th places. But Diabetic Lamb coming into Luffield. The clock's done. That's it. This is the final lap. This is it. And Diabetic Lamb coming up through Woodcote here for the sprint race. What a comeback drive from him. Really had to get his teeth stuck into that one, and he's coming up towards the line. Diabetic Lamb takes the sprint race, race 3 here at round 2 for the Silverstone National Hero Motive for the Clio Cup. Granadsteer takes 2nd ahead of Cobb in 3rd, followed by Jay 4th. Mike Gaming completes the top 5. Charlie Goff over to take a P6 in the end, was best of the rest really. Smoky Devil is going to come out on top of Park Pooper Rex in the battle for 7th place. In the end, pulled out a bit of a gap to him there. Park Pooper over in 8th place. John Boy, very much underreported comeback drive there. P9 for him after a drive through on the first lap. Connor takes P10 in the end ahead of Matt Darves, who takes 11th place. M. Afford is going to come around the final corner here, Woodcote, and he's going to just hold on for P12. Ozzy Albie coming back from a drive through, but couldn't quite nab M. Afford there for P12. So M. Afford P12, Ozzy Albie P13. Beam Basher comes over to take 14th place. He'll be gutted with that and looking to try and make up for it in the feature race. And that is that for the sprint race. What a race that was. Fantastic action there. And the Mutts Nuts and DJ Phil completing the classification in 15th and 16th places. Guys, we'll be back very, very shortly. So we'll be staying on this same stream, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so with the reverse grid feature race. Have a manual formation up before the start. So yeah, grab a drink, go to the loo, do what you got to do, and we'll be back in a few moments time then. Obviously with the slipstream battles we saw in the first race, it's going to be even more exciting knowing that the faster guys are starting at the back, but you've got guys like Beam Basher who have got the pace near the front. John Boy starting P8 is going to steal the march on his rivals. He's going to be at least 4 places ahead of the guys who were battling over the win in the first race. Mike, Jay, Cobb and Granadsteer and Diabetic Lamb, those 5 were the ones in the fight. John Boy is 4 places ahead of any of them, so he's going to want to get on with this as quick as he can. DJ Phil though, leading us out of Luffield. When's he going to put his foot to the floor? I think we're going now, are we? Not quite. Not. Oh, I think we're going, are we? Yeah, I think we're gone. Here we go. So we are racing here at Silverstone National for the feature race. DJ Phil clearing away here. The Mutts Nuts there in 2nd ahead of Beam Basher. Looking down the order, obviously they can't pass before the start finish line. We've got a move here being shaped up into turn 1. Matt Darves trying to hold on the inside ahead of Connor. You got John Boy there still just trying to squeeze through actually ahead of Connor up into P7 there. That's job done there for John Boy. Smoky Devil is just got Mike Gaming behind him. Mike Gaming's got ahead of Charlie. In fact, Charlie losing a couple of places here. He's lost out to Mike and Jay, as Jay there a little bit wide there as he tags the side of Charlie and Jay having a bit of contact there, but side by side out onto the Wellington straight. Jay loses out to Cobb there as well, so Jay's lost a couple of places after looking to have gained a few in the first couple of corners. DJ Phil ahead of Beam Basher, who slots into 2nd place ahead of the Mutts Nuts. Ozzy Albie there looking to the inside of the Mutts Nuts into Brooklands. Can he complete that move? Ozzy Albie's going to have the outside for Luffield. Oh, as DJ Phil loses it on the exit of Brooklands, he's going to lose out to these guys, the Mutts Nuts, and Ozzy squeezed through, but Ozzy Albie does complete the move. No, he doesn't complete the move actually. No, the Mutts Nuts still ahead of Ozzy Albie in 2nd place. DJ Phil there having that moment. In fact, it wasn't DJ Phil. No, it was DJ Phil. But yeah, DJ Phil losing out and he's down to 4th place. Beam Basher though tags the braking mark a little bit there as he comes into Cobb's corner. He now leads the race ahead of the Mutts Nuts and Ozzy Albie, but the Mutts Nuts a little bit loose there coming out of Cobb's corner. Ozzy Albie looking to the outside. He's got around him there coming up towards Maggots and Beckett's. There's a bit of contact there in the background. Oh no, massive slam here as they come up towards Maggots. As we just see Jay there was involved in that. So was Smokey, I think. Jay, Smokey, Connor all involved in a big incident there as they came between Cops and Maggots, but Beanbasher still leading by 0.3 of a second. That's going to be big damage though for those guys. Smokey, Jay and Connor are going to have to pit for damage straight away pretty much here in this race. Beanbasher ahead of Ozzy, ahead of the Nuts, followed by Matt Dobbs. You've got M. Afford there ahead of Park Pooper, followed by Charlie. Granad Steve in 8th ahead of John Boy, and then you've got Mike Gaming and Cobb basting over 10th and 11th places. We got Mint Blong Mosh saying fucker has the mic up his arse. What? Alright then. But currently Beanbasher still out in front by half a second right now ahead of Aussie Albie. You got the Mutsnuts there running in 3rd place, just about a second off the back of these guys at this point. Matt Dawes there's just about half a second ahead of M. Afford. Then you got Park Pooper Charlie ahead of Grandad Steve. John Boy there in 9th place ahead of Mike Gaming, a long way ahead of Mike Gaming, who's got Cobb still just under a second behind him at the moment. DJ Phil there P12, Smokey Devil still going. Jay and Connor though both into the pits at the end of the first lap, and that has not gone the way that I think either of those two would have wanted it to at this point. So that's going to be a frustrating night so far for them for sure. But Beanbasher ahead of Aussie, just under half a second separating these guys, and the Mutsnuts is keeping with them. These three have gapped the rest of them a little bit as we see a move here being shaped up. We've got Grandad Steve looking to the inside here of Charlie Goff into Brooklands. Job done there for Grandad Steve up into 7th place. Beautifully done there from him. Matt Dobbs still in P4 just ahead of M. Afford at the moment. You can see Park Pooper trying to attack on these guys as well. Beanbasher though leads the race with Aussie Albie and the Mutsnuts still very much in tow at this point, coming down the start finish straight here. Matt Darves there ahead of M. Afford, followed by Park Pooper. Grandad Steve there ahead of Charlie Goff, and then a couple of seconds back to John Boy, who's only 5 seconds off of the lead still at this point, so he's still not out of this race at all. Mike Gaming nearly 10 seconds behind, so is Cobb there battling these two battling over 10th and 11th places. They were both in the battle for the win in the first race. DJ Phil, Smokey, Diabetic Lamb having already pitted for damage repairs there, running in P14. Jay and Connor running in 15th and 16th, having also come in for damage repairs. In fact, Connor seems to have picked up more damage on that car, but Diabetic Lamb and Jay both driving their cars in pristine condition at this point, as Beanbasher's having to defend from Aussie Albie into Brooklands. He was looking around the outside with Aussie Albie but couldn't make the space work. The Mutsnuts there in 3rd place, still right on these guys. Matt Darves has closed the gap a little bit to these three as well, so Matt Darves is bringing himself into contention here for this race win potentially in this feature race on his debut here tonight. Park Pooper into the pits, Grandad Steve, Charlie Goff staying out, M. Afford into the pits, John Boy staying out, Mike Cobb, DJ Phil coming round Duffield with Smokey Devil right on the back of him at the moment. But Park Pooper and M. Afford both in at the end of lap 5. And Beanbasher and Aussie still battling over the lead at the moment. The Mutsnuts and Matt Darves still right in play, as this is a 4-way battle now for the P1. So Matt Darves has brought himself into this battle a treat here over the last couple of laps. Grandad Steve there running in P5 ahead of Charlie Goff. Those two still having a good battle for 5th and 6th places. John Boy's closing in. He's actually reading in the leaders at this point. So is Mike, and so is Cobb. So it's kind of a bit of a concertina now. The drivers who started at the back are now starting to edge towards the front, as we can see Aussie Albie looking to the outside here of Beanbasher into Brooklands. The Mutsnuts and Matt Darves still right there. Grandad Steve, the highest runner of the drivers who started right at the back. He's only 2 seconds off of the lead now, as Aussie Albie's got it all wrong coming through Brooklands and has lost out there to the Mutsnuts and Matt Darves. He's now down to P4. The Mutsnuts is looking all over the back of the leader Beanbasher, and Beanbasher's into the pits, so that's going to give the Mutsnuts the lead now. Matt Darves up into P2. Aussie Albie back onto the podium temporarily here in this race, but lots of drivers have already been to the pits to make the mandatory pit stop, so we'll have to see how that pans out once everybody's come in and served their pit stop. But John Boy is only 3 seconds off of the lead now and is edging closer to the lead as we speak. Mike Gaming now only 7 seconds off of the lead, so is Cobb. So yeah, this is definitely heating up at the moment. The Mutsnuts still holding on, but Matt Darves is hassling him as they come through Magus and Beckett's here for the 7th time in this race. Aussie Albie's still right on him, and he's almost tapping Matt Darves in the rear there as they come out onto the Wellington straight. Aussie Albie will be looking to the outside. Matt Darves has the inside. Now who's the Mutsnuts going to get the slipstream to here? He seems to just be trying to sat in the middle of them, trying to get them to fight over it, as Grandad Steve's looking to the inside, and we're going to be 3 wide into Brooklands here. Grandad Steve down the inside of Aussie Albie and Matt Darves. What a move there from Grandad Steve. Can he complete it? He has done. Brilliant stuff there from Grandad Steve. 2 places in 1 corner up into 2nd place. Matt Darves there squeezing back ahead of Aussie Albie there. But they both lose out to Grandad Steve, as we can see somebody coming into the pits here. Is that Matt? Yes, it is Matt Darves coming in at the end of lap 7. The Mutts Nuts still leading by 0.2 of a second right now ahead of Grandad Steve as they come into Cops here for the 8th time. You've got Aussie Albie on the back ahead of Charlie Goff, followed by John Boy. But Matt Darves in the pits. Mike Gaming still going there in P6 ahead of Cobb. But Smoky Devil there running in 9th place at the moment. DJ Phil, a couple of seconds behind him in P10. Beam Basher has been in the pits already. He's the highest runner of those who have pitted so far. Is he going to come out ahead of Matt Darves? Because Matt Darves is also in that fight for the lead. Beam Basher was up there before, so let's keep an eye and see where Matt Darves comes out in relation to Beam Basher. This could be for a net battle for the lead, albeit not necessarily the net lead, but these two could both be in that sort of group battling for the lead. Beam Basher comes out and he is a couple of seconds ahead of Matt Darves, so Beam Basher has managed to get the undercut here. Matt Darves is going to come out, I think, just ahead of Part Pooper and Diabetic Lamb. Yes, he is. So Matt Darves holds position on those two. And what's happened here? Because Grandad Steve's now a second behind Aussie Albie. Aussie Albie now leads the race again. So what has gone on here? Grandad Steve's coming into the pits as Charlie Goff is also coming in. So those two both coming in at the same time. In fact, Aussie Albie's in as well. So Charlie Goff now leads the race. John Boy now into second place. A second now separating those two. Now we're going to find out if these three guys, Aussie, Grandad Steve and the Mutts Nuts, have done enough to cover off Beam Basher. And obviously you got Matt Darves. See if they've done enough to cover off Beam Basher, Diabetic Lamb and Matt Darves, and obviously Part Pooper as well. The Mutts Nuts is still in the pit box. He's just moving off the bit now. So you got Aussie Albie there jumping the Mutts Nuts, or maintaining position, shall I say. Now where are these guys? Beam Basher's coming down the start finish straight. I think these four are going to come out ahead of them. Oh, Beam Basher might get... Smokey's come out behind Beam Basher and the rest of them, but Aussie Albie, the Mutts Nuts and Grandad Steve. Oh, in fact, Beam Basher's got ahead of Grandad Steve. Beam Basher's managed to get one of them here, and he's right on the back of the Mutts Nuts as well. So Aussie Albie, your net leader at this point, ahead of the Mutts Nuts. Beam Basher there in just behind them, ahead of Grandad Steve, Diabetic Lamb, Part Pooper and Matt Darves right there. So this is a 7-man battle for what could potentially be the net race lead once everybody's been into the pits. Charlie Goff is now coming in. That just leaves John Boy and Mike to make their pit stops. I don't think Mike is in this battle for the lead, for the net lead, but John Boy might just be. Charlie Goff though into the pits, but Aussie Albie, your net leader, as we can see in the background. Beam Basher has got the Mutts Nuts looking up his inside. The Mutts Nuts trying to defend here from Grandad Steve as they're coming out of Luffield once again. Diabetic Lamb, Part Pooper, Matt Darves have just lost a bit of time to these guys over the course of this lap so far, but the Mutts Nuts is looking back to the inside of Beam Basher here. Beam Basher has now got Grandad Steve getting the run on him, coming down the start finish straight, and that's going to be Grandad Steve's tucking in for the time being, actually behind Beam Basher. Beam Basher giving a bit of a tap to the Mutts Nuts, and there is Charlie. So Charlie's coming out, and he's coming out just behind Aussie, the Mutts Nuts, Grandad Steve and Beam Basher, just behind Diabetic Lamb actually. Diabetic Lamb gets ahead of him as well. So Charlie Goff technically I think in a net P6 at the moment. Obviously Aussie Albie the net leader of this race, and he's the leader of this big train of cars at the moment, which we're expecting John Boy and Mike to come out in the vicinity of. John Boy's now into the pits, and so is Mike as well. So both of these guys are now coming in at the end of lap 10. That's going to now obviously make this probably an 8 or 9 man battle for this lead. Aussie Albie keeping ahead of Beam Basher. Beam Basher's got the Mutts Nuts looking to his inside into Luffield as they're side by side. The Mutts Nuts squeezing through ahead of him as Grandad Steve just tags Beam Basher a little bit in the rear. Oh, Beam Basher almost round there as you see Grandad Steve squeezing through. Beam Basher there just had a bit of encouragement there. He's going to lose out. So all of these guys, Diabetic Lamb has got ahead of him. Charlie's got ahead of Diabetic Lamb. Charlie is right on the back of Grandad Steve using that slipstream there to squeeze back ahead of him, but Beam Basher there losing out, and it's down to 11th place here in this race. Mike and John Boy, where have they come out? Where have they come out? They've come out behind everyone. So this is unbelievable. This is a 10-car battle for the lead, and Cobb is only 2 seconds behind them and could be right on them in a second as well. DJ Phil, the only driver still here to pit. This is the lead battle right now. Aussie Albie, the Mutts Nuts, Grandad Steve, Diabetic Lamb, Charlie Goff, Beam Basher, Part Pooper, Matt Darves, Mike Gaming, John Boy. These 10 drivers are all in the battle for the lead right now. Cobb not too far away, and Jay is well off of them. Jay's had a nightmare of a feature race so far. DJ Phil, when is he going to come in? Is he going to come in at the end of this lap and make his his mandatory pit stop. Aussie Albie still leading this battle. It's impossible to keep up with what's going on right now. As we can see there, Granasi's been tagged round coming through Luffield. He's really had a massive moment there, and he's getting caught up as well. Mike collects him there as they came on the exit of Luffield. Mike and Granasty with big damage there. And also, I think Cobb might have been caught up a little bit in that as well. These guys though still battling at the front, so you've got a 9-car battle now for the lead instead of a 10-car battle, with Mike Gaming essentially dropping out of that one then. But Aussie Albie still leading this train of cars, and he's got almost a second of a gap now over them. The Mutts Nuts, Charlie Goff, Bean Basher, Bar Pooper Rex, Diabetic Lamb has dropped off of them a bit now. So John Boy, Diabetic Lamb, Matt Dobbs, those three have now dropped off of the top 5 ever so slightly here. Cobb and Mike still battling over 9th and 10th places, but they've kind of just spread out a little bit now in this battle for the lead in this feature race. Aussie Albie, the Mutts Nuts, 7/10 apart. The Mutts Nuts have closed a little bit on Aussie Albie over the course of this lap so far, but it's really nip and tuck. There is such awesome racing tonight out on track with these guys. John Boy there running in 5th place is cleared. Diabetic Lamb is putting away a little bit from him there. You've got Bean Basher down the back of Diabetic Lamb, still ahead of Matt Dobbs. Cobb and Mike still running pretty close there through Brooklands. Cobb just keeping ahead of Mike at the moment there in 9th place. Aussie Albie those just opened up just over a second of a gap here over the Mutts Nuts at the moment as they're coming out across the start finish line here to complete lap 12 of this feature race. And this is crazy. This is absolutely awesome. As we can see, the Papa Barex right on the back of the Mutts Nuts there, coming into Cop's corner. Looking further down the order, you've got Bean Basher on the back of Diabetic Lamb. Cobb and Mike still running pretty close at the moment here in this fight for 9th and 10th places. Wow, I've just got to take my breath and take my hat off to these guys, because they are putting on an unbelievable show here tonight on the Motive Racing channel. A credit to all these guys, such clean racing, a few little skirmishes here and there, but that's to be expected. You've got 16 cars fighting in a short space out on track. It's been superb to watch here as Bean Basher's just trying to get back onto the Diabetic Lamb there. Just got a bit of a poor run coming out of Chapel Curve. Looking to the inside on Diabetic Lamb coming into Brooklands. Diabetic Lamb's got that covered around the outside for the time being though. Aussie Albie still leads ahead of the Mutts Nuts, 0.2 of a second currently separating those two. Can Aussie Albie take his first win at Motive since his comeback? Obviously he won a couple of races way back when we started at Motive, in the very early days, but can he maybe take his first win since returning to the fold? Obviously he joined back in July of this year, has been racing with us since we reinvigorated our Project Cars 2 leagues, and he's been so unlucky over the last few months. It's just everything that could have gone wrong for him seems to have gone wrong. He's got the Mutts Nuts looking to his outside, but the Mutts Nuts gets a little bit sideways, and Aussie Albie, where does that storm for the time being? Now Part Pooper is going to look to try and squeeze through ahead of the Mutts Nuts. Charlie there right behind these guys as well. Let's jump on board with Charlie Goff as he's got front row seats to this battle between Part Pooper and the Mutts Nuts. The Mutts Nuts will have the inside there for Brooklands, and we'll be back up into third. Oh, as Charlie moves across a little bit on Pop. Sorry, I do apologise. Papa moved across a little bit on the Mutts Nuts. Sorry, the Papa loses out to Charlie, and the Mutts Nuts continuing in second place. But that looked to me like Papa just moved across a little bit there on the Mutts Nuts and chopped him as they're coming into the braking zone. But it doesn't lose out too much. He did well to hold on to that, I've got to say. And it's as you were at the moment, as Emma in the comments saying, fantastic racing tonight, guys. I couldn't agree more, Emma. It's been absolutely superb. Currently, Emma's obviously the other half of Aussie Albie. He's doing a great job out the front, looking like he might be able to take a win here in this feature race. John Boy a bit wide coming out of Cop's corners, trying to hunt these guys down. Bean Basher there in 6th ahead of Diabetic Lamb, followed by Matt Dobbs. Cobb, Mike there running in 10th place, 5 seconds covering the top 10 drivers here at the moment. As we've got a real battle going on here for 6th place. That was Matt Dart just going a bit wide. Cobb up the inside up into 8th place. Bean Basher just ahead of Diabetic Lamb at the moment though. These guys really are going at it. It's a 5-man battle for P6. It's a 5-man battle for P1 as now we've got Charlie Goff looking to the inside of the Mutts Nuts in towards Brooklands. Very late on the brakes there from Charlie Goff. Can he get it stopped? Can he get it completed? The Mutts Nuts back up the inside here for Luffield. Charlie Goff's going to try and hold it around the outside. Can he keep the grip on the outside? The Mutts Nuts is going to have the inside there for Woodcote, but obviously Charlie Goff would have had a better exit out of the corner as he'd have been able to take more of a better line coming out of the corner, as he will also have the slipstream now off of Aussie Albie. So Aussie Albie staying on the racing line. Now he's going to try and just sit in the middle of them and try and confuse the guys behind him, but Charlie Goff holding it around the outside of the Mutts Nuts. Oh, he's well wide out through Cop's corner. Is that going to give Part Pooper a chance to attack him coming through up towards Maggotts and Beckett's? The Mutts Nuts here is going to try and look on Charlie, but Charlie is just no, the Mutts Nuts does squeeze ahead of him there. Charlie might lose out to Part Pooper as well. Yes, he does. Charlie down to P4 there. Aussie Albie still leading this pack of cars. It's a 5-man battle now because John Boy is right in the mix here in 5th place. 11 laps left to go, and John Boy has now arrived on the scene, and I have a feeling he's going to be there to definitely land a knockout blow if the opportunity arises. Beambash is trying to put out a bit of a gap here to these other guys batting over 6th place. You've got Cobb there ahead of Mike. Mike trying to look up the inside. Cobb a bit sideways. Mike even more sideways. Diabetic Lamb moves ahead of Mike up into 8th place. Matt Darve still right behind these guys in P10, still battling. Aussie Albie's got the Mutts Nuts on. He's got the run on him as the Mutts Nuts. Aussie Albie's going to have to try and keep it there around the outside, but the Mutts Nuts there managing to get the lead. Now Paul Pooper's looking to the inside of Aussie Albie as well. Aussie Albie needs to keep cool. Oh, the Mutts Nuts moves across on Aussie Albie. That's the second time tonight that he's done that. The Mutts Nuts there just moved across unnecessarily, and there's a big pile up there. Cobb gets collected, and so does Beambasher. The Mutts Nuts didn't need to do that. He moved across on Aussie Albie. That was unnecessary. He moved across him into the braking zone. I'm not sure why. But Paul Poopin leading ahead of Charlie Goff still. John Boy there within 0.3 of a second right now. It's now these are the three battling for the lead, and John Boy is now right in the hunt for a win here in this race. Mike there now up into 4th place. Diabetic Lamb into 5th ahead of Matt Darve. So you've got John Boy looking to the outside into Brooklands as Paul Pooper's got Charlie looking around his outside there. Charlie's going to the inside for Luffield, and Charlie Goff taking the lead of the race. Paul Pooper trying to hold it around the outside. Bit of contact. Oh no! They've gone off, and we've had a disconnection as well. Not a disconnection, a retirement, surely. What's happened? That's really bizarre there. That is really weird. So John Boy now leads the race by 4 seconds, but Park Pooper Rex coming together there. And Beambash has left the race as well. We're down to 14 drivers here in this race. He's retired from the race. John Boy leads by 4 seconds. Charlie Goff though down to P7 in that one. Charlie Goff and Park Pooper coming together, and John Boy now has quite a commanding lead here in this race. Park Pooper Rex in P3. Somebody disconnected, and then there was a crash between Park Pooper and Charlie. And do you know what? My head just went, because I was like, my head was just getting sort of teed off really. It was just being pounded from one side to the other, and I have no idea what happened, because I'm just like, I'm focusing on one thing then another, and I have no idea. I'm just wobbling my head a bit, because I'm like, it said that somebody left the session. Charlie's still there, Park Pooper's still there. I saw someone disappear. They physically disappeared off of the screen. Okay, anyway, John Boy still leading by 4 seconds ahead of Mike. Park Pooper there in 3rd, ahead of Matt Darves at this point. And this is now a battle for 2nd place. So Mike, Park Pooper, Matt, Aussie and Diabetic Lamb. This is now a 5-man battle here for P2. John Boy's now pulling out the gap, and I think he's got this one in hand, unless he monumentally messes up in the last couple of laps of this race. But we're down to 14 drivers, and it only said that Beambasher had left. It didn't say that anybody else had left. So again, I'm just trying to play this by ear, but right now not really any clues as to what has happened here. But what a shame for Aussie Albie. It was the Mutts Nuts. It was the Mutts Nuts who left the session. So the Mutts Nuts left, and so did Beambasher. So those two out of the race. It was the Mutts Nuts, I think, who triggered the pile up there. He obviously came across on Aussie Albie a bit, and it's twice that I saw that move transpire coming into Cops Corner. But right now John Boy leads the race by 4 seconds, and it's kind of just the race has died down a bit now. It's kind of not really. I mean, you've got the battle for the podium spot. The Mutts Nuts disconnected, says Emma, and obviously we lost Beambasher due to a retirement. But Mike there running in 2nd place ahead of Park Pooper. Matt Darves has got Aussie and Diabetic Lamb looking all over the back of him here. Diabetic Lamb will be hunting a podium, much like he hunted the win in the sprint race as well. So he's right in this battle here as well. Let's jump on board with Diabetic Lamb as he's looking. You can see Aussie Albie's looking to the inside of Matt into Brooklands. Down the inside goes Aussie Albie. Gets that move done up into 4th place. Beautifully done there from him. We see a bit of a lock up there in the distance there as Park Pooper was looking all over Mike Gaming. but out of Luffield we come. Diabetic Lamb's going to get the run here on Matt Darves coming through Woodcote. Once again, the Mutsnuts has now left the session, so the Mutsnuts and Beamash are both leaving the race. Unfortunate there to see both of those guys retire from the race. 7 laps left to go here at Silverstone National for the feature race tonight. Race 4 obviously here at round 2 for the Clio Cup Motive here for season 11 here on Project Cars 2 here at here on the PlayStation 4 and 5. Mike and Park are still going at it for second place. They pulled out a bit of a gap here to Ozzy and Matt, who have still got Diabetic Lamb hot on their heels right now, and Diabetic Lamb gets a much better exit than Matt Darves out of Chapel Curve, and he's up into P5 there. That's job done there for Diabetic Lamb. Charlie there running in P7. Jay's only 13 seconds off the lead now with all of this commotion going off out front. Jay isn't too far away, but he's in 8th place and he's not going to get too many points there for the current position that he's in. Smokey in 9th. You've got M. Afford still going in P10. Cobb there in P11. It's not been the race at all. Got collected in that incident with the Mutsnuts and Aussie Albie. DJ Phil there still going P12. Grandad Steve P13, having had to make an impromptu pit stop due to big damage, and Connor there running in P14. It was up there in the early stages, but it's kind of just drifted away here for Connor in this one. But Mike still leads the battle for second place ahead of Park Pooper. There's Ozzy ahead of Diabetic Lamb and Matt Darves. Charlie still going in P7, just coming through Cop's Corner there. Jay in P8, but John Boy has currently got this under control. No way, is he disconnected? Oh my god, he really did lag like crazy there. I tell you what, I thought for a second that our race leader was disconnecting, as if we don't need another twist in the tail of this race. If John Boy were to disconnect, we'd suddenly have a 5-man battle for the lead again. Deja vu, but it didn't quite happen. His connection managed to hold on there. Mike there in second ahead of Park Pooper. These guys a couple of seconds clear of Ozzy and Matt at the moment, and then Diabetic Lamb still right there. Diabetic Lamb gets sideways into Brooklands, loses the control of the car and the braking. That's Charlie into P6, and Diabetic Lamb there having a major moment. I think he's also got a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits as well as Diabetic Lamb, as that is Jay there moving ahead of Diabetic Lamb. But yeah, Diabetic Lamb has got a 10-second penalty, but I think Diabetic Lamb might have damage on the car, because I can't imagine Diabetic Lamb binning it under the brakes like that, you know, under normal circumstances. I just can't. I think he must have a bit of damage on the car. You can see he has got a bit of front end damage, so I think that might be affecting him a little bit. Obviously, front end damage on the Clios is a nightmare because they're front wheel drive, so it makes it even more difficult. But yeah, I think Diabetic Lamb, potentially a bit of damage there, causing some oversteer as he hit the brakes. But Mike Gaming's pulled out a bit of a gap to Park Pooper nonetheless in a battle for second place. Aussie Albie and Matt Darves still going at it for 4th and 5th, but Aussie Albie's going to be gutted with that one, with that collision with the Mutsnuts, because he was on course for a potential race win in that one, and it seems to have slipped away. And it's just going to be frustrating. It's going to be chipping away at him. He's going to be wondering, when is he going to eventually break his duck and take a win? I mean, it's not. He has won here at Motive, but not for a very long time indeed. He won in the early stages of Motive, back when it was only a few weeks old, and then took a bit of a hiatus, and has returned in the last few months actually. Returned to the Project Cars 2 leagues here at Motive, actually when they started up again. So he was with us for a few weeks back when Motive started. The first season he was with us. Then the Project Cars 2 leagues continued on for about a year, and then obviously they restarted again, and Aussie Albie was here with us for the rebirth of the Project Cars 2 leagues. But I think he's won a handful of races. I think 3 or 4 races. I can't remember how many he's actually won, but he's won a few, but not for a little while. But John Boy still leading by 5 seconds right now over Mike Gaming. Park Pooper there in 3rd. Aussie Albie still clinging on ahead of Matt Darves at the moment. Charlie Goff there in P6, falling off of him as we speak. Jay there running in 7th place, as Matt Darves has got ahead of Aussie Albie into Luffield. Bit of a slide there from Aussie Albie. Has got damage on the car. Matt Darves up into P4. Job done there for Matt. But Aussie Albie starting to slide around a little bit now as we're on to lap 25 of this race. 3 to go. John Boy had the lead pretty much handed to him on a plate with all the incidents that were going on in front of him. Mike Gaming and Park Pooper there running in 2nd and 3rd places. Welcome to Jazzman in the comments, saying hello there. Hello Jazzman, good to see you. Our former champion of the PS5 GT3 League, former champion of the PS4 Wednesday GT3 League, and also the reigning champion of the GT3 Sprint Championship on the PS4 as well. Good to see Jazzman is a 3-time champion here at Motive on ACC. I believe he did race on Project Cars 2 as well back in the day, so he knows a little thing or two about these Clios. As we can see, Matt Darves and Ozzy Albi side by side coming down towards Brooklands. Can Matt Darves keep it there, or is Ozzy Albi going to go on the outside? Matt Darves, I think, has got that job done again, but it's going to continue on to the flag, I think, between these two. Charlie Goff is closing in a little bit on these guys now, only about a second off of them there in P6. Smokey's got Diabetic Lamb right on the back of him, as Diabetic Lamb's continuing to lose time though. He was on the back of Jay a couple of laps ago, so I don't know if he's made another mistake or if he's just got damage, but he's lost out to Smokey. Smokey's up into 8th place, and our race 1 winner really struggling here in this feature race. Park Pooper's still just clinging to the back of Mike at the moment, but Matt Darves has got Ozzy looking to his inside into Cops, but Matt just keeps it around the outside, as here comes Charlie Goff now looking to try and get involved in this action as well. Penultimate lap of this race. Ozzy Albi's got the run on Matt. Is he going to look to the inside into Beckett's? He's going to look to try and send one here. Is Ozzy Albi, and does really well to get it turned in and stopped in time. Ozzy Albi, great move there, but Matt Darves will have the better run coming out onto the Wellington Straight, and Matt Darves has got a great exit there out of Chapel, and is back up into 4th place there. Ozzy now tucks back in as Ozzy now gets the outside. Matt defends the inside into Brooklands, watching on board from Charlie Goff. Ozzy Albi now sends it around the outside really late on the brakes. Can he get it turned in? Oh, Ozzy Albi, great stuff from Ozzy Albi. Let's go trackside as we're watching this battle going on. Ozzy Albi back down the inside for Luffield and gets him up into 4th place. Matt Darves got to watch out because Charlie Goff is going to sneak up the inside as well. Bit of contact, but nothing doing there between them. Charlie Goff up into P5 and Matt Darves losing out 2 places in a couple of corners. He'll be frustrated with that one. Now Ozzy Albi's got to watch out because Charlie Goff's looking to his inside in towards Cop's corner. Here goes Charlie. Has he got enough of a run? No. Ozzy Albi's able to turn in and keep that one, but he gets a little bit slidey there on the exit of Cop's corner. Managed to get a bit squirty, and that's going to give Charlie Goff P4. Matt Darves is going to mug both of them around the outside, but has he got enough grip there? I think he might do. No, they're back through again. Ozzy Albi squeezes down the inside. Charlie Goff, can he get the car back? Oh, bit of contact. Ozzy Albi completes it up into 4th place. What a move there from him. Where's Matt Darves? Matt Darves moves through ahead of Charlie back again. And these three going at it on the final lap. Ozzy Albi's got P4 ahead of Matt and Charlie. Where's John Boy, the race leader? He's just coming through Woodcote, and John Boy was able to capitalise on everybody else's problems here and just be in the right place at the right time. John Boy up towards the line, last season's Clio Cup champion, comes over the line in the feature race to take the win here at Silverstone. In the end, by quite a convincing margin over Mike Gaming, who's going to take a P2. Par Pooper Rex comes over to complete the podium there in 3rd place. Here is the battle for 4th place, which is going to go down to the wire, but Ozzy Albi holds on ahead of Charlie and Matt Darves. What a battle between those guys. Ozzy Albi 4th, Charlie Goff 5th, and Matt Darves 6th. Then Jay comes over to take 7th in the end. Really closed on them at the end, actually, did Jay. Fair play to him. Smoky Devil over in 8th place ahead of Diabetic Lamb, who finishes in 9th. Now, does Diabetic Lamb have enough of a gap back to M. Afford to hold on to 9th place? That's the question, because Diabetic Lamb does have a 10-second time penalty. He doesn't have enough of a gap there. So M. Afford takes P9, Diabetic Lamb P10, DJ Phil classified in 11th place in the end, with Cobb in 12th place. And Connor Boylan will be the last driver to finish in P13. We lost a few drivers along the way, unfortunately. The Mutts Nuts Beam Basher, and I believe one more driver, Granad Stee, I believe, retired as well. So unfortunately 3 retirements there, but some great racing nonetheless here tonight, and that was a privilege to commentate on. Thank you ever so much, guys, once again. To the guys who watched live, please drop a like on the video and show your appreciation to the drivers and the guys who were racing tonight. If you think that any of your friends, family members or otherwise associates would be interested in checking this out, then be sure to share it around and get them on this. Once again, massive thank you for showing up tonight, guys. 16 drivers turned up to the race, and we had 16 finishes in the first race as well, but unfortunately, we couldn't get those numbers to finish for the feature race, but nonetheless, thanks ever so much, guys. We will see you very soon. We'll see you on Thursday night on Project Cars 2 for the touring cars. We'll be back for round 2, same time as always, 8:30 p.m. UK time. We'll also be live in a couple of nights' time for the Wednesday GT3 League on the PS4 on ACC. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. UK time. And then it will be Sunday. We'll have ACC Super Sunday, PS4 and PS5, so also check that out, but we'll have more info on that on Thursday for you. But cheers everybody once again, drop a like, subscribe, and we will see you very, very soon. Take it easy everybody, good night.